Picture a country where warlords replace lawmakers, where terrorists impose taxes, and where kidnapped children become citizens of breakaway states at gunpoint. This isn't fiction, it's Nigeria today. While the world watches Ukraine and Gaza, Africa's most populous nation is fracturing in real time. 230 million people live in the shadow of three existential threats: jihadist caliphates expanding their rule, separatist armies rewriting borders, and criminal syndicates richer than governments. Officials dismiss it as a security crisis. In reality, this is the unraveling of a state. Villages now pledge allegiance to armed groups. Schools teach extremist curricula. Roads are controlled not by police, but by warlords who issue travel permits. The terrifying truth? Nigeria's collapse isn't coming. It's already happening. And when the world finally looks up from other crises, there may be no Nigeria left to save. Stay with us till the end, and consider subscribing so you never miss the deep dives that history's mainstream leaves out. Nigeria is lying to you. The skyscrapers of Lagos gleam like Dubai. Nollywood films dominate African streaming. The economy pumps out $500 billion annually, more than Sweden or Iran. International headlines celebrate its tech startups and cultural influence. But these are carefully constructed mirages. Because behind the glittering facade, Nigeria is undergoing a silent disintegration. Consider these chilling contradictions. A top 30 global economy where 63% of citizens live in poverty, 145 million people, a population larger than Russia, a military budget of $3.5 billion, World Bank, 2024, yet soldiers at the front lines buy their own bullets from black markets. Lagos Stock Exchange hits record highs, while bandit warlords in the Northwest print their own currency. The deception runs deeper. Government reports tout declining infant mortality, but omit that 12,000 children starved to death last year in insurgent-blockaded zones. UNICEF, 2025. They celebrate new power plants, while Boko Haram-controlled towns haven't seen electricity in 7 years. This is Nigeria's dirty secret. The numbers look good because they're not counting the collapsing parts. The World Bank calls it fragmented development. Economists term it the Lagos bubble. But the truth is far darker, a Potemkin prosperity, where gleaming cities distract from the spreading rot. Because when you zoom out, the pattern becomes undeniable. Every year, Nigeria grows richer on paper, while losing more territory in reality, and the world keeps applauding the wrong metric. Nigeria isn't fighting one war, it's fighting 5, and it's losing all of them. Let's pull back the curtain on these forgotten battlefields, where the rules of modern civilization no longer apply. First, the Northeast, where Boko Haram has evolved from a terrorist group into something far more dangerous, a functioning state. Their fighters no longer just plant bombs, they collect taxes. They don't just kidnap schoolgirls, they run schools. In April 2025, they executed 300 civilians in a single week, not as punishment, but as policy. The Nigerian military? They abandoned their bases months ago, now swing south to the southeast, where history is repeating itself in blood. The IPOB separatists aren't just rebels, they're resurrecting the ghost of Biafra. Roadside executions, police stations reduced to rubble, a chilling echo of the 1967 Civil War that killed millions. Only now, the rebels have social media, and the government has drones. The result? A 21st century civil war fought with 20th century brutality. But the real shock comes in the Northwest. This isn't insurgency, it's warlordism. Bandit gangs don't just raid villages, they administer them. They've established negotiation committees for hostage releases. They levy taxes on gold mines. Some even issue receipts. In Zamfara state, they control more territory than the government. And their weaponry? Often better than what the Nigerian army carries. Then there's the Middle Belt, ground zero for Africa's slow-motion genocide. Farmers versus herders. Christians versus Muslims. A conflict dressed up as religion, but really about something far more primal: survival. Entire villages wiped off the map overnight. Mass graves so fresh the dirt hasn't settled. The UN stopped counting after 5,000 dead in 2024. And finally, the ticking time bomb, the Niger Delta. The region that funds Nigeria's entire government. controlled by militants who could strangle the economy with a single order. They don't even need to fight anymore, just threaten to turn off the taps. This isn't a security crisis. This is the death rattle of a nation. 5 separate wars, 5 different endings. And in every single one, the Nigerian government is losing ground by the day. The frightening truth? These aren't rebels anymore. They're founding fathers, carving new nations from Nigeria's corpse. The Nigerian military isn't losing this war. It's being dismantled from the inside out. Let's autopsy the rot. 1. The weapons that never were. In 2024, the National Assembly approved $2.8 billion for new attack helicopters. Reality? Troops in Borno still clean their 1960s-era rifles with gasoline, per Wall Street Journal field report. Where did the money go? Follow the ghost helicopter scandal. 37 aircraft paid for, 9 delivered, all grounded by missing parts. 2. The soldiers who aren't soldiers. Leaked payrolls reveal 23,000 ghost troops, non-existent soldiers whose salaries feed generals' offshore accounts. At the front, real units operate at 42% strength. International Crisis Group, 2025. Some platoons have 2 men guarding 18 kilometers borders. 3. The betrayal no one talks about. Soldiers whisper about officers selling. Ambush intel. The Boko Haram price, $15,000 per tip. Army uniforms to bandits for $100 per set. BBC Africa undercover footage. The ultimate treachery? Weapon convoys ambushed only for those guns to appear in insurgent videos 48 hours later. 4. The morale kill shot. 2025 Army survey leaked to Reuters. 79% of frontline troops haven't been paid in 3+ months. 61% use their own money to buy painkillers for wounded comrades. 44% believe their commanders want them to die. This isn't incompetence. It's institutional suicide. The chilling conclusion? Nigeria's military isn't being outgunned. It's being systematically looted, not by rebels, but by the very men sworn to protect it. And with each stolen dollar, the noose tightens. Next, the point of no return. Nigeria isn't approaching collapse. It's performing it, in slow motion, on a stage the world refuses to see. The evidence is undeniable. 1. The new map. Boko Haram now prints passports for its Islamic Emirates. Bandit warlords draft land deeds, charging peasants to lease their own farms back. IPOB separatists issue arrest warrants for federal judges. 2. The economic freefall. Lagos Stock Exchange plunges as foreign investors flee. $9 billion evaporated in Q1 2025. Financial Times. Naira collapses to Nigerian Naira 2, $900/$1 on black markets. Street vendors now weigh cash in kilos. Oil production drops to 800,000 barrels/day, lowest since 1983. OPEC secret memo. 3. The vanishing state. 17 of 36 states haven't received federal allocations in 5 months. Police stations across the Northwest now fly white flags, symbolizing surrender to bandits. AFP photojournalism. Doctors Without Borders reports entire local governments without a single civil servant. The autopsy reveals the cause of death. A government that exists on paper. A military that fights itself more than insurgents. A people who stopped believing in the very idea of Nigeria. This isn't speculation. It's an obituary waiting for its date. Before writing Nigeria's epitaph, consider this. Nations have risen from worse ashes. The narrow path to survival. The military intervention that's never tried. Total purge of corrupt officers. 57 generals indicted in 2024 still command troops. Direct salary payments to frontline soldiers. Bypassing thieving commanders. Drone warfare overhaul. Ukraine-style decentralized strike units. The economic hospice. Dollarization of key sectors to stop the Naira's death spiral. Zimbabwe 2009 playbook. Oil for arms barters with private military companies. See Angola 1990s. War taxes on Lagos elite. 0.1% could fund 100,000 new troops. The people's insurgency. Community defense networks, like Syria's NDF, with UN-backed arms pipelines. Blockchain land registries to break warlords' territorial claims. underground schools and occupied zones, Afghan resistance model. But here's the killer question. Does the political will exist? 2025 leaked presidential tapes reveal cabinet members betting on controlled fragmentation. State governors already negotiating directly with warlords, Sokoto and Zamfara case documents. China/Russia drafting post-Nigeria resource partition maps, ECFAR report. The tools for salvation exist. The tragedy? Those holding them refuse to lift a finger. History will record this moment with brutal clarity, not as Nigeria's failure, but as ours. The evidence is irrefutable. 3 UN Security Council warnings ignored. 17 ceasefire attempts sabotaged from within. 9.2 million children now growing up knowing only war. UNICEF 2025. This isn't distant tragedy, it's geopolitical arson spreading across Africa's most populous nation. When Nigeria falls, 60% of West Africa's GDP evaporates. The world's next migrant crisis begins, projected 34 million displaced. Jihadist empires gain their strongest beachhead yet. We are the last generation that can stop this. But the window closes fast. Act now. Demand arms embargoes on corrupt commanders. Support frontline journalists risking death for these truths. Flood politicians with Nigeria's stolen futures. The choice isn't complicated. Intervene today, or explain to your grandchildren why you watch genocide happen in real time.